What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I want to give a shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Goliath Burrito, Forbidden Fan 12, Steven Stanton, Kent9 Dave 69, Saturn Coon, Fishcake, Nicholas A. Montgomery, Tatcap, Johann Stenfeld, Anthony, Russell Kanai Ueker, Luis A. Sandoval, Samaran 1, Shane Lindroth, Firefox 2590, Crispy Bacon, D, Evo, Jasmine Taylor Studley, Scav King, Zombie, Stinging Shadow, Cursing Throne 92, Jacobus 92, Owen, The One Who Crawls, Cesar Valentine, Joshua Suzik, Travis Tennant, Malik, JPC2, Jacob W, Alex Cole, Joshua Wire, Malik Black, Kiki, and as always I want to give a shout out to our executive producers Bevan Brummett and Vincenzo. Thank you all very much for your support. If you want to become a YouTube member, click the join button which is down by the subscribe button down below, and if you wish to become a Patreon supporter, click the link in the description to find out more. We'll see you there. Oh, I got a new tool. Wait, is this a... Oh my gosh, dude! I can melt through metal now. Yay! Any upgrades available? Hello, hello. You know what? I got a full minute of blowtorch. Hey y'all, Renegades here. Sorry.
Hi, Nate.
Hi, Chet. I have no idea what the hell we're doing. That's literally the channel the channel slogan. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
We're unified.
Yes, we're sort of unified in that ideal. I mean, this is all sort of a whole thing that we're just like, So, Scott the Woz, the Woz man, Sir Wozniak, has recently did his 200th episode, and you know we'll get to it when we get to it, but it's an hour long, guys.
I saw that.
It's a beast. It is a beast of a video.
A feature presentation.
Yes, in which what we'll have to do is we'll have to dim the lights, pop some popcorn, get us some fountain drinks, and literally just be, and of course play that stupid ad. It's just like, you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal a book, so don't steal a movie. Except we'll play the IT crowd version. You ever seen it?
No.
It's like, you wouldn't steal this. You wouldn't kill a cop and then steal his hat and then shit in the hat and then deliver and then send it to his wife through the postal service and then steal it again.
And then steal it again.
It's too friggin' funny. I love the IT crowd so much. I miss that show so much. But it canceled is the theme of this. We've been a part of projects that have been canceled midway through. We've been a part of several. We've been in bands that have just all of a sudden gone kaputski. From
Boy, haven't we?
Oh yeah, the original incarnation of your band.
Our band.
Oh yeah, our band. Well, yeah.
You helped me create
the band
it,
he's still in. The band he still runs and creates.
We kicked Nate out.
Yeah.
No, actually, that never happened. We mutually agreed to just fucking stop doing it.
Yeah.
When we couldn't find anybody that wanted to do it except for us.
That's the thing.
That's what happened. We didn't have anybody that would play with us.
We had here's our main issue. We had a good core group. We had you on lead vocals and lyrics, me on rhythm guitar and backing vocals and songwriting structure. Then we had Zach on lead guitar, who was a killer,
master shredder.
Yeah, indeed. And then we had an okay bassist. Not gonna lie. I mean, we had a rotating cast for everything else.
Yeah. And then Zach, his real life stuff got him more tied down, so it was like
his
constant frustration for us because we were still wanting to go. We were finally at the point where we were playing shows, we were getting paying gigs. Really hard for a punk band at that time in our area.
Yeah. In
it just
the
fell
land
apart.
of country music and bluegrass.
And also, it was the time of MySpace, so it was like very little reach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For punk rock music in our area, it was
yeah.
like we had to travel a distance to get any kind of crowd for that kind of shit.
And then there were because I remember when we had like the rotating guitar or bass player and drummers. We had drummers like flake on us at the last minute. We had to cancel, and it just you hate to do that too, because when that happens, they're not going to try and book you again.
Oh yeah, your reputation will get ruined.
You basically just get pushed down the pipe, and I can see like when certain studios cancel certain games, they go by the wayside. They basically just get
and the people
pushed out.
on those teams and stuff, that doesn't look good on your resume. Nobody wants to be that group that was making that game that everybody was looking forward to, and then it just never fucking happened.
So for me, the biggest concerns, the biggest what if and biggest screw you canceled game things was number one, EA when they shut down Visceral Games, the guys that made Dead Space, literally one of the best horror games I've ever played.
Yeah.
They made the Dead Space franchise, and instead of letting them do their own thing, instead they're like, oh no, you're going to develop a new Battlefield game for us.
We don't need jump scares in a Battlefield game.
And then all of a sudden, the game tanks, and then EA is just like, well, the game wasn't a success, so I guess that means we're just going to have to cut your budget. And it's just like, you made us make a game we're not used to making, and not only that, but you basically had no advertising for it. It's like, we don't care, we're EA. Your studio's shut down. And then this happening right as Amy Hennig, one of my favorite video game developers who developed the Uncharted franchise, was working on a single-player Star Wars game.
Yeah.
She was working on, her and her team were working on that, and then they were told, nope, you don't work there anymore. And then she basically had to sit, when they closed down Visceral, they had her under contract for 2 years, and they didn't use her. They basically paid her 2 years to sit on her hands and do nothing. And when you have a creative person like Amy Hennig at the helm of something, things are going to go great. But no, these video game companies know better. Make BioWare force Anthem out before it's even halfway finished in development.
But then canned stuff that's almost completely developed, like Resident Evil 2 and the Darth Maul game.
And then, of course, also Silent Hills. The new Silent Hill game.
Silent Hill that was coming out for the PS4. Look at them, man. They just trash stuff that could have been brilliant. Well, let's not pretend like Resident Evil 2 wasn't brilliant. The one that did come out.
No, the one that came out was brilliant, but the one that we didn't get a full version of...
Still cool as shit.
Still really cool.
Still a really cool
idea. You actually got to play that a little bit.
I have a playable version of it.
Yeah.
But it's not complete. It's 75% complete, they said.
And another game that got canceled right as it was ready to be finished, Star Fox 2.
Yeah.
Star Fox 2, that one was ready to come out on the Super Nintendo. That could have been the swan song of the Super Nintendo. That could have been the final game that people were just like, yeah, this was a good system. Well done, Nintendo. Well done.
Yeah.
Just like how God of War 2 was the swan song for the PlayStation 2. And how great of a system that was.
Dude, I want the Dark Knight video game. I just wish that I had that. I think I said it before on the other game. But that was one that they had almost done. And then couldn't get it done quick enough, so they just pulled the plug on it.
And then they repurposed a lot of it into Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, but dude, just imagine the box art.
Dude. I could
voice
see
acting from all the cast.
Yeah. Including Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Ledger. Oh,
dude!
If they could just release it anyway, that would be so sick. Even if they just did a documentary about it and released the voice acting.
I agree. Well, I agree 100% because that's missing pieces of art that the community who love Batman and who love the Joker and who love the Batman games. I mean, especially after the success of the Arkham franchise, I would have done it anyway. I would have just been like, you know what? We'll release it. We'll release a PC version that is fully fleshed out and they don't have to like do any crazy stuff like upscaling it into like a newer engine or anything like that. Just build it and finish it the way it was meant to be finished. That's what I like. Well,
it was a free roam game. It was open. Mm-hmm. You know, it looked cool as shit. So, oh well.
Life is full of disappointments.
Yeah,
guys.
you can go and like torture yourself by watching footage of what they have. It's on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. God. Anyway, we got Scott the Waz talking about canceled games here. Let's get it up on screen. Let's give it a watch. Here we go.
Wait, maybe it's the other kind of canceled.
Wait. Oh no.
No.
Hey y'all, Scott here, and I'm freaking out here. I was outside and I heard somebody say one of the numbers in my soch. Privacy is my #1 concern, alright? I don't want anybody to know anything about me. For Christ's sakes, I blur out my inkjet numbers. You may ask why I'm so keen on privacy. Where did it all begin? Well, let me ask you this. How the hell did we learn about Geist DS? The game was canceled. We weren't supposed to know anything about it, but now we know everything about it. Really, anything can get revealed at this point. Here's my blood type. Damn it! Video games are a tricky bunch, and development of them can be wild. I mean, how many times have you seen a developer interview where they say, "Yeah, it was pretty easy." Any video game that makes it to market is sort of a miracle. The amount of working coordination that has to go into making even the worst games ever makes it unsurprising how many game projects never got completed. Whether it's due to the publisher, the development team, market conditions, a lack of resources, or any of these other fun work.
I cannot tell you how many times they've talked about doing a StarCraft FPS or action shooter game. Like, that was in development for hell and ever from 2002 to 2006. Then they tried to develop another one around 2012, and the development lasted all the way until 2019. Then they canned it. Again.
Jesus.
Ugh.
Words I found in the dictionary. Thousands of video games since the dawn of
Fez
time
2.
have been canceled before an official release.
Fuck you, Phil Fish.
Publicly available.
That's all I gotta say.
Some video game cancellations are absolutely shocking and disheartening, and others are Project Giant Robot for Wii U. How did Silent Hills not make it to store shelves, but Mega Florp did? Well, let's delve into the world of canceled video games to understand how this came out, but this didn't.
Oh,
Look at every
13,
single video game that's ever been canceled, so this is more so a general roundup of a bunch of canceled games throughout history. Who knows, maybe in the future we can talk about more canceled games as a whole, or dive deeper into a specific cancellation. If you want to look more into games that have never seen the light of day, I highly recommend checking out Unseen64.net. This is where the majority of information on these canceled games lies nowadays, and you're sure to find something.
Maybe we can go on there and find out something about the Dark Knight.
Consoles had some of the most infamous cancellations of all time.
Oh, Scalebound.
The most heartbreaking of which was Project Rap Rabbit. Please care. A failed Kickstarter campaign for a spiritual successor to Parappa the Rapper, with a goal of raising enough money to buy a nice cigar. After the Kickstarter failed at even getting close to not failing, they put development on an indefinite hold, which was a nice way to say it was canceled, of course. Are you fucking stupid? Now, what overshadows Project Rap Rabbit's cancellation? Well, not much, but this'll do. Star Wars 1313 was supposed to be a huge leap forward for Star Wars games. It was going to be much more mature and leverage the power of the 8th generation consoles. But then Disney decided to go forward with the mission statement of the entire company. Buy Lucasfilm, cancel 1313. They shut down LucasArts and subsequently canceled all of their projects at the time.
That looks familiar.
Star Wars 1313 being one of them.
Am I right?
Silent Hills, however, is possibly the most notorious cancellation of this generation. The Silent Hill franchise was just sort of existing at the time. The survival horror genre was kind of struggling, but then a free game was put out entitled PT, short for Playable Teaser. At the end, it was revealed to be the announcement for a new Silent Hill game being produced by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. Like that would ever happen. Internal conflicts with the publisher Konami and Kojima led to him leaving the company and Silent Hills being wiped from existence. Even with PT, Konami's trying their hardest to ensure nobody even thinks of that thing anymore by pulling it off at the PlayStation Store.
Too bad for you. I got it downloaded on my PS4 and I am never deleting it. Fuck you, Konami.
After L.A. Noire, Team Bondi decided to work on, well, I can't say that. It was going to reuse a lot of the technologies developed for L.A. Noire and feature comparable gameplay elements. However,
the
this
Orient.
was set in 1930s Shanghai.
That's crazy.
Officially, only one screenshot was ever released, but full
Tim
gameplay
Bondi
was
made a
leaked.
lot of money
Warner
working
Brothers
with
was originally
Rockstar
going to
for
publish it,
LA
but backed
Noir,
out later on.
and
In the end,
they tried to go out on their own, and they
they
basically got shit
Killer
on.
Freaks from Outer Space. This was one of the first Wii U titles revealed. Back when E3 associated itself with the year 2011, and Nintendo officially announced the Wii U alongside a bunch of killer games. Pretty much the only concrete game they announced was Lego City. We got some third-party multi-platform ports promised, with many not coming true. The concept of Smash Brothers coming out for Wii U and 3DS and not much else. Some tech demos, and that was pretty much it. But Ubisoft announced an exclusive title of their own, that being Killer Freaks was a first-person shooter focused on shooting aliens and not much else. This was cancelled and reworked into Zombie U 1 year later. How the f***? Project Giant Robot was a game created to make the Wii U gamepad seem worthwhile, and that was it. Just a tech demo for the system that was all about making a giant robot and wreaking havoc as it. It was announced alongside Project Guard, which did end up releasing as Star Fox Guard. I would have assumed that this was just a tech demo, but Nintendo kept reaffirming that they were intending on releasing it for the Wii U as a full game. And I'm sure we all know how that turned out. Just think where the Wii U would be if this game released. It's speculated that the Nintendo Labo robot kit was what came in this game. I don't think that's been confirmed. Imagine being Microsoft and saying no 3 whole times. Phantom Dust was going to be a remake of the original Xbox game, and they just couldn't do it. You see, the developer of the remake was doing well with it. They asked Microsoft for more money, they said no, and canceled it, forcing the developer to shut down and lay off all their employees. That could have gone better. I mean, technically Phantom Dust did come out on the Xbox One, but they just remastered the original instead of remaking it from the ground up. At least they made this one for free as a nice little way to say, hey, it ain't game much better than this. Fable Legends was always a game I could count on never coming out. Each time I check on its development, it'd be like, it's coming, it's coming.
It's canceled.
Again, this led to the closure of the development team, Lionhead Studios. But thankfully, with Scalebound, this game's cancellation didn't shutter its developers' doors. But it almost did. Scalebound was a game Platinum's wanted to make for years, and Microsoft finally gave them the opportunity to crush their dreams. Actually, both parties weren't too sure of the title as development progressed, and they were worried about meeting fan expectations, and they felt they bit off more than they could chew. Microsoft announced the game was done for by saying, Scalebound is cancelled. Please buy Halo Wars 2. But nothing will ever top the amount of 3DS games canceled. I would have taken a bullet for DJ Hero 3D. At the 3DS's announcement during E3 2010, tons of third-party games were revealed via logos, stuff like Assassin's Creed Lost Legacy and Saints Row Drive-By. But they were canceled pretty much within the year they were announced, with barely any screenshots or footage to their names. Some speculate it was because 3DS sales were pretty slow near its launch, others assume it was because of 3DS hardware limitations or the audience of the platform just not fitting these games. Lost Legacy became Assassin's Creed Revelations, and Saints Row Drive-By became not Assassin's Creed Revelations, that's for sure. I mean, I probably wouldn't have bought these games if they did come out. It's cool if they would have, but these just...
I was gonna say Revelations.
I wanted to play on the 3DS.
I was gonna say Revelations, a decent game, but the ending makes it worth playing all the way through.
Really?
The tower defense sections are not the best. They could have been done so much better, but the gameplay is fairly smooth. It has everything that was in the previous games, and of course there's certain characters that you get into. But then that ending happens, and you're just like, oh my god! It's one part existential crisis and one part like wistful hope. It's like, whoa, dude.
Imagine that. All these games, and I was still just gonna buy the 3DS for Pilot Wings Resort. Ubisoft probably asked themselves, what the hell are we doing here? And pulled the plug. DJ Hero 3D was going to be the most immersive DJ Hero yet. Literally, it was gonna be DJ Hero on the 3DS. What a world we would have lived in. The demo was playable at E3 2010, but in early 2011, Activision canceled the entire Guitar Hero franchise and its spin-offs. No more games were in development due to declining sales, which meant DJ Hero 3D, it wasn't gonna make it. Bomberman for 3DS. It was announced the developer Hudson Soft got absorbed into Konami. It didn't come out. Kaio King of Pirates was some penguin game that was made by Keiji Inafune, who worked on the Mega Man series before he left Capcom. It was revealed in 2011 and was cancelled a good 4 years later. Apparently it would have played like a Warriors game, but the reveal trailer was all we really got. And I don't know why, but this penguin is lodged in the back of my brain and something that might pop in my head if I think of the 3DS randomly. On the topic of Keiji Inafune and Mega Man, let's shift over to Mega Man Legends 3. It was announced in September 2010, but barely. The game itself wasn't really announced. Rather, the prototype of the game was announced. They were going to put out the prototype on the 3DS eShop when it launched in the summer of 2011.
I know Jacob flipped out over that. He was like, dude, Mega Man Legends 3, it's a real thing.
Happened.
And I'm like,
they just canceled everything. The nerve of them.
But
hey,
it's
at
canceled,
least it wasn't Bioshock
like, but it was
for
a
the
thing.
Vita.
I'm like,
you want to know how much we got on this? Just that. That's it. That's all we got. It never came out. Imagine what it's like to be Bioshock Vita.
Oh.
The 7th generation of consoles, back when DJ Hero After Party was canceled, they had no mercy. Heroes the video game. If this game came out, okay. If this game got canceled, okay. I have absolutely no opinion either way.
Yeah.
Prey 2. Now, that was a game that was suddenly canceled for no reason. It was apparently due to business politics and the sort. It was announced in 2011 and looked pretty good, and then Bethesda said, nah, it looks like trash, and canceled it in 2014. Before the cancellation, the original developer, Human Head, was taken off the project, and it moved over to Arcane, where they pretty much started from scratch before the project was ultimately scrapped. However, Arcane was able to develop their own take on Prey, and that released in 2017. Warriors
and it was alright.
A PS3
it was
and
pretty
Vita
good.
game, with the main gimmick being switching between the two consoles to pick up where you last played. But who cares about that when Bonk Brink of Extinction and Clay Fighter Call of Putty were cancelled? This was the big retro revival era of downloadable games. I mean, were you really expecting them to not try to reboot Bonk and Clay Fighter? Bonk was another victim of the Hudson absorption and was cancelled because of it. And Clay Fighter? I don't know, it just stopped existing. A first-person Avengers game with an emphasis on co-op by THQ. Now, when I think THQ, my mind immediately goes to games on par with Wall-E and PlayStation 2, but near the end of their tenure,
they tried to get it out before the Avengers movie came out.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
Trying to turn the company around from mostly cheap licensed kids games to some bigger, better titles, with the Avengers game being one of them. It honestly sounded fairly promising, but THQ was just refusing to make a profit during this time and ended up having to scrap the project due to a lack of funding.
And then they shut down.
4. This game just kept on getting the it's happening treatment whenever people asked about its status. Because we really never knew much about it. Some teasers here and there, some information like, oh yeah, it's going to use this engine or going to be on this platform, but...
Search amp a lot.
Project Hammer. Now here's a title I can get behind. What the f*** is a theater rhythm? No thank you. I'll stick to Hammer Game. I mean, look at it. What else did you expect from that title? You swing a hammer around to whack things. It was originally for the Wii, being developed by Nintendo Software Technology. They're a studio in North America who developed stuff like Wave Race, but after Project Hammer got canceled, they've been banished to making just Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, a fate worse than death. This game was revealed at E3 2006, and that was it. No more information, this was all Nintendo wanted to show us. After its cancellation in 2009, NSC tried to make a new Wave Race game for the Wii, and that got shut down, but at least we saw the minis march again. Super Mario Spikers was supposed to be a new sports game in the same vein as Mario Strikers, an extreme take on soccer with Mario characters.
Which is very fun on the
Strikers
GameCube.
was brilliant. I liked it. Also, damn dude, Mario rocking that singlet.
Yeah, I know. He looks like Joe Briggs with that fucking singlet. That's the way his gimmick looks like. His
kind of, yeah.
Like colors and everything.
In the same vein as Mario Strikers, an extreme take on soccer with Mario characters. But Spikers was to be an extreme take on volleyball and...
Wait.
But
That's a wrestling ring.
Oh, hell,
dude!
yeah.
Could you imagine a Mario
versus Wario, who will be the heavyweight champion of the Mushroom Kingdom?
What? Super Mario grapplers? That could have been a thing.
All right, it still can be a thing.
Wait! I hear something. Shit. Here with some towels and the dehumidifier. Sorry about that, everyone. Had a little bit of a
leak,
nautical emergency,
a nautical anomaly.
Yes. So we had this problem years ago, and we'd fixed it, but now it's back again, and I'm just like, well, fuck my life. And
it's not herpes.
I wish it were herpes. That'd be a lot more simple. I'm joking, by the way. I'm joking. But the one thing is, we're probably going to have to. If anything, dude, I'm just going to have to pay someone to come over here, dig up that back end, and just pour concrete around that thing.
When it comes to leaks in basements because of rain, it can be a pain.
Yeah.
It
And
can be a huge pain. It ruined Metal Jesus' whole, his original house where he started his channel from.
mm-hmm.
He had his whole collection in his basement and everything, and like the wall, the crack in the, like, against the dirt and shit started, and then they couldn't stop the water from getting in. They had to redo all that. He just sold his fucking house and moved on, got another one, because he said it nearly cost him his entire collection.
Yeah. So sorry about that, y'all. But we got it handled as best we can. I'm just gonna have to see about getting a pipe reran or getting some concrete poured over there. Something.
Bullshit.
It is bullshit. But what am I gonna do? Anyway, that's gonna do it, everyone. On that whole segment. But let's get back to this, because I want to smile.
Yeah.
I want to reminisce.
To be an extreme take on volleyball and wrestling. Jesus Christ.
Oh, shit.
It was done by Next Level, the same guys
So it
who
was
made Strikers,
wrestling.
and it was canceled in 2007 due to being a bit too violent for Mario. A gritty, more mature reboot of Kid Icarus was being developed for the Wii by Factor 5. This thing wouldn't stop getting rumored about back in the Wii days, but yeah, it was a thing, and I am very glad that Kid Icarus Uprising got made instead. Look at this guy. Mega Man Universe was a famous example of the great Mega Man cancellations of the 2010s. We already talked about Legends 3, but that was barely even in development by the time it got canceled. Mega Man Universe was going to be a downloadable Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network game that allowed players to create and share their own Mega Man stages. It was heavily based on Mega Man 2, but featured its own god-awful art style. It was pretty much done from what I could gather, but Capcom pulled the plug on it on March 31st, 2011. Great timing. Then there was the canceled Maverick Hunter, the first-person Mega Man X reboot, just what everybody wanted. Metroid Dread was always one of the most mysterious games that never released.
Yeah.
It was never formally unveiled, but it was never formally canceled. It just sort of showed up as a rumor from Game Informer in 2005. Apparently, it was a 2D Metroid for the DS. Rumors floated around for years, and even an Easter egg made it into Metroid Prime 3, stating, "The Metroid Project Dread is nearing completion." Nintendo denied the rumor that they were working on a 2D Metroid, but the series producer eventually stated that the project did exist at one point, but was scrapped. Just like My Life Coach on the DS. Katamari...
So, the new... I know that Retro Studios, the guys that did Metroid Prime, have got the Prime series, have got the Metroid series back. I wonder if they're going to resurrect, like, the Metroid Dread storyline and do something with it that will hopefully, eventually, evolve into the next Metroid game. Because they've been working on that for the last few years, and hopefully they have a proof of concept up. We're just going to have to see. Geist and Gauntlet games were all planned for the DS, but these were all canceled, with Gauntlet being the farthest along, as in, it was completely finished and they canceled it for some reason. It was actually going to be a very impressive game for the DS. Both screens would display 3D graphics at the same time. It had local and online play and online voice chat. But hey now, the PSP had some canceled games too, like Far Cry, Saints Row Undercover, Earthworm Jim, and a Resident Evil game announced at E3 2009. Technically, this one was never actually canceled, just nothing's come of it. But mark my words, Resident Evil PSP will eventually come out, I swear. Rainbow Six Patriots, that was canceled, but it became Siege, so it's fine. The 6th generation had way too many canceled games to count, so we gotta pick the games to discuss wisely Streets
here.
of
Big
Rage.
Touch on Xbox. With Microsoft buying Rare, most of their projects in the works for the GameCube and Nintendo either had to be reworked or canceled. One of the most infamous being Donkey Kong Racing, a bit of a successor to Diddy Kong Racing. With Rare being a Microsoft company after the buyout, they couldn't develop for Nintendo home consoles anymore, so they tried to rework Donkey Kong Racing into Saberman Stampede. That didn't come out either, so move over, Donkey Kong Racing. We got late instead. Rare games couldn't catch a break this generation, especially Conker's Bad Fur Day 2 or Conker's Other Bad Day. A sequel to the original was planned, but ultimately got canceled. Similar to another Conker game worked on for the Xbox, Conker Gettin' Medieval. This was more spin-off than sequel, though, being a third-person shooter. There was Velvet Dark, a canceled spin-off of Perfect Dark following Joanna Dark's sister, and then various Banjo-Kazooie games. One was planned for the GameCube, if this GameCube tech demo Rare put together is trustworthy enough, and others were planned after Microsoft bought Rare. Banjo X was going to be a remake of the original Banjo-Kazooie that would change dramatically as time went on to surprise players. This kind of reminds me of Conker Live and Reloaded, a remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day that did change some things here and there, kind of poking fun at being a remake. There was also Banjo-Kazooie, which focused on building your own vehicles, and that became not Donkey Kong Barrel Blast. X-Girl was a girlfriend simulator planned for the Xbox. That would have been great. You would just have a virtual girlfriend. It's everything my mom wouldn't want.
I could say so many things about. I know that there are people who would clamor for that nowadays.
Moving forward.
Fallout Extreme. This sounds interesting.
What?
I'll look it up on Wikipedia. Fallout Extreme was in development for several months in 2000, but was canceled. I blinked. What? A tactical game for the Xbox and PS2. It didn't get too far into development and was never officially announced. Now, Sonic Extreme was a pitch for a Sonic skateboarding game on the Xbox that went nowhere. But a Skater Die reboot did go somewhere, alright. You know Skater Die on the NES, right? That thing that wasn't good? Well, Criterion, who made Burnout, worked on a reboot, and it actually looked pretty promising. And I have absolutely nothing backing this up, but it was being published by EA. It could have been linked to the eventual creation of Skate. Charlie Brown's All-Stars.
No, Thrasher Skater was a game that came out on PlayStation, and I think that was like a Skater Die thing too, right?
Let's look it up.
Thrasher Skater PS1.
PS1.
Mm-hmm. Skate and Destroy, that's what it is.
Yeah, but it was produced by Z-Axis and published by Rockstar.
Yeah.
Different.
That was the predecessor to Skate.
That
was the one with the control system where you...
Yeah.
Where you use the...
But what he was talking about there was basically the development from that game eventually evolved into Skate.
Yeah.
In which, I want another Skate game, damn it!
Yeah, 3 it's one of the best games ever.
And they could always...
Sports games for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man.
This Charlie Brown model seems like your thing. I have terrible news for you. Before Retro Studios worked on Metroid Prime, they had loads of other games in development for the GameCube, including NFL Retro Football, Thunder Rally, and Action Adventure, but the most well-known canceled retro game was Raven Blade, an epic RPG that was scrapped to make room for old Prime over here. Castlevania Resurrection was being developed for the Dreamcast, and was going to be in the style of the Nintendo 64 Castlevanias. It was canceled because, remember, Dreamcast. But at least over on the PS2 and Xbox, Konami was working on Contra Online. I wanted to talk about Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness 2, but I have nothing to say. The 5th generation of consoles. Lots of cancellations during this just due to being a big transitional period for developers. Going from 2D to 3D, lots of projects just ended up not working out. Sonic Extreme, not Sonic Extreme, Sonic Extreme, is one of the most famous cancellations of this era. The Sega Saturn didn't have its own original Sonic platformer, and Extreme was set to be the big Sonic title for the system. However, development was brutal, especially on the employees working on the game, with some getting incredibly sick. Sega had to delay and eventually cancel the game due to development just not progressing well.
That fisheye lens look
to help make the cancellation sting a little less,
much,
they put out a Saturn
I
version
like
of
the look
Sonic
of it.
3D
I
Blast.
do too.
Me. It was obvious Sega wanted to combat Mario 64 with their own 3D Sonic platformer on the Saturn, but Nintendo was already planning to strike back with a sequel to Mario 64, never mind. A big element of Super Mario 64 2 would have been multiplayer. Luigi would appear in the game after being absent from the first one alongside Yoshi being rideable. This would have appeared on the Nintendo 64 DD, the disc drive, an add-on only available in Japan. But because nobody owned a 64DD and the sequel's development just wasn't really going anywhere, work on it was scrapped. But it's fair to say elements from the game were definitely used on future Mario titles. Nintendo was working on so many games for the 64DD, and because the add-on flopped hard, these games either just released via a standard cartridge, were reworked into games on future platforms, or were just straight up cancelled. The Nintendo 64 had a lot of interesting cancellations overall. Tons of third parties pledged their support, but eventually dropped out, obviously because of the limitations of the 64's cartridges. Contra Spirits, Ghosts and Goblins 64, Doom Absolution, There's not much that exists in the form of concrete images or videos of any of these, but they were being worked on at one point, which is about all there is to say. Quest 64 would have gotten a sequel if all hell broke loose, and Glover 2 was only cancelled because, well, the game was a big enough success to warrant a sequel. The publisher bought way too many cartridges of Glover 1, so they had like 150,000 of them laying around unsold. They didn't want to deal with more Glover. A Nintendo 64 version of Advance Wars and Fire Emblem were being worked on, but were either eventually scrapped in the case of 64 Wars, or reworked into a new game with Fire Emblem. But outside of the 64, there's Thrill Kill, a PS1 release that didn't. It was apparently so controversial, they just didn't want to deal with releasing it. It ended up getting leaked online and got passed around like crazy, and look at that, we're not all murderers with Thrill Kill out in the open, we're fine.
Thrill Kill, from what I understand, it was more like an X-rated version of Power Stone.
Yeah, it was just like a similar to like Smash Bros. Fighting style.
Yeah, and I would have loved that.
Like the Mortal Kombat.
Like a four-player Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
In 3D, I think that would have worked very well. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But instead,
controversy.
Won't someone please think of the children?
Yeah.
It's like
Tipper Gore, right?
It's like, bitch, do you even have children? Like.
A few Game Boy Color games never made it to market. South
Pig.
Park was originally going to appear, but was cancelled due to these two things just not making sense demographic-wise. Moving on to the 4th generation, and things are definitely slowing down. Not as many massive cancellations. The Star Fox 2 would have been an obvious game to talk about, but Nintendo decided to finally release it in 2017 via the SNES Classic Edition.
Yep.
Who cares about it?
But it wasn't properly
obviously
finished.
The sequel to Star Fox, and it was cancelled simply because it was releasing in the latter half of the SNES's life. It would have looked puny and weak compared to the 3D consoles at the time, and the Nintendo 64 was coming out with a Star Fox game of its own in development. Whatever, this game wasn't cancelled. We're talking Kid Kirby today. Supposedly, it was going to use the SNES mouse and feature Kirby in his prime, an origin story. It was going to be developed by DMA Design. That's Rockstar Games. They worked on a Kirby game at one point. Dream was the basis for what would become Banjo-Kazooie, but the original game developed by Rare for the SNES and then the Nintendo 64, yeah, that was not this. An RPG in the style of the original Donkey Kong Country. This is pretty crazy as a Super Nintendo game looks-wise. It's a shame the original version of the game never saw the light of day. Now, I gotta talk about the Virtual Boy cancellations. Come on, Donkey Kong Country 2 was gonna be on this thing. That would have been terrible.
I hate the Virtual Boy
GoldenEye
so
007
much.
as a racing game.
too, man.
Sure.
It was
VB Mario
painful.
apparently would have played very
painful.
similarly to standard Mario platformers, but it would have had wackier camera angles with an overhead shot being used once and Mario walking between the foreground and background. It would have been cool, but oh my god, this is slow. And finally, let's end things off with the 3rd generation of consoles. We could go over the 2nd and 1st generation, but what am I going to talk about? Oh no, Dukes of Hazzard didn't come out on Atari, no! Earthbound, or Mother 1, or Earthbound Beginnings. The first Earthbound was intended to come out in North America, but never did, probably due to the cost of releasing an RPG on the NES near the release of the SNES, just wasn't worth it. Nintendo of America sat on a full English translation of the game for years until it finally released as Earthbound Beginnings on the Wii U Virtual Console. Donkey Kong's Fun with Music. This was a music educational title that taught everybody how fun music can be with Donkey Kong involved. It's actually pretty cool because Pauline is seen here as a vocalist, which she was in Mario Odyssey. Return of Donkey Kong was a game listed as a release in a few official Nintendo publications.
Nintendo does keep shit meta a lot of times.
That's the one thing I respect about
it. Looked like.
If
I had to guess, I'd say this might have been a temporary title for Donkey Kong Classics, which was a compilation of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. SimCity was fully created for the NES, but just never released. Same goes for the California Raisins game and Sunman. Sunsoft was going to make a Superman game. They lost the license. They went through the trouble to rename the game Sunman to just end up not releasing it. But none of these will ever compare. Street Fighter on the NES.
What?
Yes.
What?
So those were just a few canceled games throughout history, but far from all of them. Who knows? Like I said, maybe we can return to this topic eventually, or even take a look at specific canceled games themselves.
Hold on.
But as of right now, I'm a little more concerned with maintaining my privacy. How does it look on me? If guys DS can leak, who says my blood type and hair color can't? You know, might want to go a step further. Maybe a little more. Just a little more.
God. Okay. So.
What a beautiful soul.
Yes, indeed.
And a story that he has told. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, canceled games can be a bit frustrating. I know that there was a canceled Jack and Daxter game that was being developed by Naughty Dog again. After they had their dev team split in two. They had one working on The Last of Us and the other working on the Jack and Daxter game. But things rarely go the way you want them, especially in a chaotic world like video game development, which costs an arm and a leg to develop. And then when you develop it, who's to say that even if it's a classic and like fucking amazing, people are going to pay attention to it?
Yeah.
Because there's some games that people have just it got recommended to me, but it was years and years after their initial release.
It's all art. It's all everything that depends on a large amount of people paying attention to it. We're gonna miss. There's just so much talent out there, and so little. Which is bigger than ever now, but so little opportunity for it to be discovered that it's almost impossible, really. The people who become huge in any sport, any entertainment endeavor, are successful in anything that's involved in getting out in front of people.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of luck involved in that. And it just takes, you have to be prepared whenever your lucky number gets pulled.
Yeah, and I hate that that's a reality.
Not to say there's not a huge amount of work involved. I'm just saying.
Oh no, the work in a lot of ways.
But that's not enough.
Completely like soul crushing to certain degrees. It's like these testing houses. Of course, here's the thing about testing houses: they're there for a reason, to test your games and to help you get all the bugs out, and to go to these testing houses and be like, hey, we want you to do this. That's how Gearbox started out. Gearbox started out as a testing house. And then eventually they were just like, you know what? We want to make our own games and develop our own games and do all this. And they started to. And that's actually, like, testing houses becoming, like, game developers and all that. That's what a lot of companies are don't want to go to testing houses nowadays. They're just like, well, we don't want to fuel future competition. It's just like, no, because you have to. If you want your game to be devoid of bugs,
and your industry to flourish.
Oh, and not only that, number one, Cyberpunk, the fact that they didn't do any external testing before, or like beta and bug testing before the release, it just goes to show you. It's just like, guys, you have to give these external houses money in order to get them to basically make sure that your game is up to snuff so that you can make your money back on the development of this series. Yeah. But instead, no, it's just like, we'll just patch it later. People won't care. And look, I have tried to defend the actions of CD Projekt Red. I've tried to. Here's the thing. I like Cyberpunk. I think Cyberpunk is actually pretty good now. It's still a damn good amount away from being the game that we were promised, but the fact that the friggin' developers I don't have a problem with. It's the studio heads who are bean counters and are just like, well, we don't want to spend $250,000 on testing with this company that could potentially become competition in the future. It's like, what? Why would you do that? Why would you? You're basically cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's it. At that point.
Yeah. Or cutting off your future success to keep the money that you kind of lied about stuff to get in the first place. But, this is the same kind of shit that early Hollywood dealt with.
Yeah.
And it's going to be no different until, and that's the thing about shit being huge and like companies like Disney having all these assets and shit and gobbling everything up. You can say what you want to about it, but they're efficient at what they do.
Yeah, as much as
we could smell Mulan being a turd a mile away.
Oh yeah,
they never lied about it.
We got shit on about that.
They didn't lie about it. They showed you what it was. They just tricked people into getting behind that idea until they were contorting shit around so much that it ended up getting them in the long run because they were in bed with the Chinese government
and
that got them into some trouble.
Oh, and not only that, but now their two big Marvel films they were hoping to release in China are now in potential limbo because Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, the lead actor is an online troll who is completely anti-Chinese government.
Oh, the dude from Kim's Convenience?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is an online troll and he does not care. And Disney's asked him to apologize and he's just like, I'm not white. You can't guilt trip me into apologizing for shit. And then it's the same thing with Chloe Zhao. Chloe Zhao and her film The Eternals, which saw the preview for, interested, but not at the same time. I'm just like, are we gonna get like Ang Lee Hulked with this thing? Because that's what I'm thinking is gonna happen. But because she was outspoken against the Chinese government, like Disney begged her to like please recall your statement. She's like, no, fuck you. I'm not gonna recall my statements against the government that has literally like tortured my family and done all this and all that. And it's like, but we really want to make money. That's the whole thing. They could really care less about human rights violations or any shit like that. They just want to make money. That's it. And when you can't guilt trip people into doing shit, it kind of, I mean, it's like John Cena. John Cena was forced to apologize.
And he did it in Mandarin. Thanks, WWE, for training your talent well.
The fact that he had to apologize for acknowledging a country's existence.
Bro, that's a rabbit hole.
What, Taiwan's a country?
No, I'm just saying that whole subject of conversation about China is a huge rabbit hole.
Because China doesn't want to... It's just like Argentina not wanting to admit that the Falkland Islands don't belong to them. I'm sorry, but when 98% of the people who live on the island that you're trying to say is yours do not want to be associated with you, you lose. It's just like Taiwan. No one in Taiwan wants to be a part of mainland China.
Right.
So why the fuck should they be forced to be? Same thing with Hong Kong. Same thing with Macau. But instead, China's just like, nope, gobble, 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 gobble. Just like want to devour everything. Because they think, oh, it's ours, it belongs to us. It's just like, I think the people who live on the island have something to say about that.
Well, they not only have something to say about that, they have a lot of people who agree with them, and they just continue to do that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
maybe in 40 years.
We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I think that's going to do it. This was Cancel Games by Scott the Woz. Sorry again for the little thing in between, like right in the middle of the reaction because of the water seeping in and all that.
Seepage.
Yes. So hopefully, we can get that dealt with. But thank you all for being patient with us. And I guess until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Chad.
We'll see you, everybody. Peace out.